The countdown to Qatar continues with the second day of winter testing underway in Malaysia. And it's Andrea Dovizioso and Danilo Petrucci working closely together, working in tandem to put Ducati back on top after Marc Marquez started yesterday's action on the top of the timesheets. New parts galore being tested by all 6 manufacturers over in Malaysia. A new seat unit today being run by world champion Marc Marquez with Suzuki and Ducati also testing new components over in Sepang. And what a return to the track for the Moto GP riders in Malaysia. The top 19 riders on the second day covered by just 1 second. If that does not whet your appetite for the first race in Qatar on March the 10th, then we don't know what will. Good morning, welcome back to MotoGP headquarters here in Barcelona, the second edition of 2019 for After the Flag. I'm Matt Burt. Joining me again today is Neil Morrison to run you through some exclusive coverage, interviews and highlights from a truly dramatic second day of testing action at the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. Yesterday, of course, it was Marc Marquez that took the spoils with that 156.921. Well, today it's been so close. As we just mentioned, the top 19 riders covered by less than 1 second. The top 4 riders, Andrea Dovizioso, Cal Crutchlow, Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi. As it stands, there's about half an hour of track action still to go on day 2 over in Malaysia. The top 4, well, they're covered by just 0.06 of a second. The tower on the left-hand side of your screen, so that indicates 28 minutes of day 2 remaining. It is still Andrea Dovizioso that leads the way, courtesy of that 159.562. We'll be joining Simon Craper very shortly for his unique insight live on site over in Kuala Lumpur. But for the meantime, Neil, what a second day. We thought day 1 was brilliant, the perfect way to kick off 2019, but day 2, less than a second covering the top 19 riders. It makes you want March 10th to be tomorrow, doesn't it, really?
It really does, yeah. We saw basically from the first thing this morning, the guys were out on track, shooting really fast lap times, and I think we saw a whole number of guys lapping in the 1:59s, which we only saw a select few do so yesterday. So, yeah, as you say, Matt, 19 riders within the 1 second. We're going to see another fantastic season ahead.
Yeah, it was Andrea Dovizioso, as we said, that does lead the way. He set that lap time very early on. Quite cooler conditions this morning in Malaysia. If you're experienced about the heat over in Sepang, it can be really punishing. Track temperatures this morning were quite cool, quite favourable to some hot lap times. There were a few fallers just to bring you up to date with, actually. Pol Espargaro, Pecco Bagnaia and Franco Morbidelli, they all crashed without any consequences at the first corner. Jack Miller took a tumble earlier on, his second crash of the test. He crashed at turn 9 yesterday. He did the same actually again earlier on today, but I'm happy to report the Australian perfectly okay on the Alma Pramo Ducati. Jack Miller's actually been running some testing parts for Ducati today, including the tank, which completely transformed Jorge Lorenzo's fortunes last year. Cal Crutchlow actually was the other fall. I'm happy to report as well, Cal Crutchlow on the LCR Honda. Well, he emerged unscathed from what was a pretty fast crash at turn 5. If you're familiar with the layout at Sepang, turn 5, not the place that you want to be going down. Of course, Cal Crutchlow returning from a long-term injury after Australia in Phillip Island last October. So good news, Cal Crutchlow okay after that spill at turn 5 and very fast when he stays on that bike, second behind Andrea Dovizioso as it stands, with the clock ticking down on day 2 in Malaysia. I think now that we can go live to speak to Simon Crafer. We can indeed. There he is, primed and ready as always in pit lane. Another scorching hot day, Simon. Really intriguing, really fascinating watching from afar here in Barcelona how today's unfolded, with less than a second, as we say, splitting that top 19 rise. It just shows how tight and competitive MotoGP is going to be this year. But I wanted to bring you onto Ducati, Simon. Andrea Dovizioso at the moment leading the way with the best time of the day so far. It looks like Ducati have been experimenting with a few different parts. Dovizioso now had a couple of different chassis to try, and the torque arm back as well today.
Well, yeah. First of all, hello everyone. You're not wrong. It's sweltering. I'd estimate now it's around 40. It feels, and track temperature around 50. And I think that's why everyone came out, as a as an old rider, you know that when the track temperature gets to this sort of temperature, you can't go really fast. I mean, as in that last second, you can't get it even half second, somewhere in there. So they come out of the gate this morning, everyone, and posted some impressive times, you know, and it was pretty much everyone on a bit of a time attack, and that's what you're seeing on your screen now. Everyone's so close and very fast, but since then they've gone back into testing mode, and like you said, the Ducatis look really good. I was out on track doing the Facebook Live show, or whatever you call it, with Hervé Poncharal right when they were doing that test. Tardozzi was out there really near us watching, and it honestly put hairs on my arms standing up watching the battling away. The first, they did 20 lap run, and the first 10 Dovi led, and then the idea was the second 10 Petrucci led, and I spoke to Paolo Ciabatti after that run, and he said they were really happy on the very last lap. With Petrucci in front, he managed a 2 flat 0.4, which is really fast after 20 laps with close to 50 degree track temperature. So I think they've got to be happy.
Hi Simon, I've got a question about Yamaha. When you think about their management, they've certainly been making the right noises regarding their approach to 2019. What's your impression of how both of their riders are getting on at the moment? Because obviously Maverick and Rossi both inside the top 4 today and looking pretty strong.
Yes, I spoke with the team manager, Mayo Murigali. It was around, I would say, 2 o'clock this afternoon. So not, it was a few hours ago. But he was super happy because although small differences, everything that they've brought here to test they've left on the bike. The riders have been happy with it. So small, like inching forward, what the impression I got from him. As far as how happy the riders go, we're going to have to wait until the live interviews on the show soon, because then we'll get to ask them. But I haven't had a chance to chat with them. They've been busy. But yeah, they've got to be happy. But like yesterday, I just say beware, because both riders were fast here at the race. So I think it's not going to be until, I'll repeat from yesterday, it's not going to be until one of the tracks that they didn't go well at where we're going to see the difference, you know. But they're looking happy now. Maverick was happy last night, and they're going forward.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make there, actually, Simon. Of course, Valentino Rossi did say yesterday himself, cautiously optimistic, I think, about Yamaha's prospects, because we are testing on Sepang and Qatar in a couple of weeks' time. 2 tracks where we know last year the Yamaha did work very well. Just want to move over to Honda, Simon. It's been another really good day for them. A case of the walking wounded in many respects. Cal Crutchlow second, just 4 thousandths down on Marc Marquez. Happy to report, as we said, Cal walking away unscathed from a pretty big crash at turn 5. Marc Marquez, I understand that he had to pack up early again, feeling a little bit fatigued, a little bit jaded, as you'd expect, coming back from that major operation on his left shoulder. But in terms of where they're at physically, they've got to be delighted with their performance, knocking on the door of the top 3 in every single session. They look really strong again, don't they, the Hondas?
I totally agree with your little summary there, because being injured, for Cal, like I said yesterday, for Cal to come out this morning on his time attack, I'd call it, when everyone was out there pushing hard before the temperatures got too high, to do that sort of lap time, like match basically anyone with that time off the bike, is super impressive. He's got to be really happy with that. He's not up to... he's nowhere near 100% physically. I just ducked over to the team before coming live here with you to ask how he is, and they said he can't keep the runs very long. He's got to do shorter runs because of how he is physically, but also they said he's not, like, his whole body has been off the bike so long, he's aching all over from yesterday. And so to do what he's done is really impressive, and I would say it points toward HRC really doing the job and bringing a good bike this year, because both riders are fast. Even Cal's that fast, not being 100%, and Mark. Let's move over to Mark. I got to interview him at 4 o'clock this afternoon, which is only an hour and a half ago when he stopped. And my impression of Mark was, good old Mark. It was 2:30, which is around race time, where it will be, and he was the only one on track. You know, it was only a 6-lap run around there that I counted, but it made me think, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people think, Mark's out there when we're all having lunch at race time. That's what it takes to be world champion, you know, get out there and do the work in the heat. And because it's super hard. Guys, I'm roasting. I'm sizzling at the moment, like sweat running down. And it must be the same for the riders out there. Well, it is. But moving on to Mark, I got to talk to him in that interview and a little bit before, and he said he's struggling, you know. Like yesterday, yesterday I went like that until I had to quit. And today I've gone, he said he couldn't do any more laps, you know. And the only reason he stopped completely was he wants to be able to ride tomorrow, and he's worried he won't. So yeah, that's the summary there. I think the bike's good because they can do the speed they can do, but yeah, they're struggling physically.
And Simon, just to continue that theme of the walking wounded, Tito Rabat was the quickest Ducati yesterday. We can see on our timing screens that he currently sits 7th with just a little amount of the second day of testing to go. I mean, it's quite remarkable what Tito was doing. I know he obviously came back at Valencia, the Valencia test last year, and was then at Jerez, but for him to be as competitive as he is at the moment, I think that's quite remarkable. What are your impressions of Tito's performance so far?
Totally agree. Tito, like I said on our show covering the November test, that Tito was the hero of that Valencia test for me. To come back after that horrific injury and get on the bike and go, he was, if I remember right, 8th fastest. And he couldn't even walk without crutches. It was super impressive. He's continued that theme here. Now, I've had a good tour of their garage, the Real Aventia bikes, and they're unrecognizable if you know what you're looking at from last year. You know, they've gone from a 2016 on Carroll's side of the garage, GP16 and a GP17 for Tito last year, and they've moved up to both GP18s, late GP18s. They're beautiful bikes they've got right now. They've Dovi finished the year last year with almost, and I say almost because we haven't got time to go into detail, but those bikes are beautiful, and Tito is making the most of it. And I'm going to make, a little bit later in the show, I'm going to make a point of asking Tito what the differences are. You know, so I think it's a combination of his incredible determination and being able to switch off from that injury, lack of time on the bike, and go. He's riding really well, but also big step in machinery for him.
Well, many thanks, Simon. We'll let you go and get some shade and shelter. It looks like you need it out there. It's, as we say, sweltering hot conditions in Malaysia. Thanks, as always, for your insight. We'll catch up with you for a little bit of a wrap-up at the end of day 2. But in the meantime, I know you're going to be very busy getting some exclusive interviews for you. So we look forward to hearing from you later on, mate.
Talk soon.
So, great to hear the thoughts of Simon Crave there. Now, astonishing performances when you think about the level of Marc Marquez, Cal Crutchlow and Tito Rabat, given their physical condition. But one man who was very happy with his first day's action yesterday was Monster Energy Yamaha's Maverick Vinales. Now, of course, at this stage of the season, the rider debriefs with their technical crews, they go on for quite a long time with so much important information and data to pour over. So when we went off air yesterday, unfortunately, we were unable to hear from Maverick